What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the Luke Skywalker show that is seemingly in development at the good old Disney over there, just pumping out Star Wars left and right. Now, let me say this before, I end up getting myself too much in trouble. I mean, I adored Mandalorian Season 2. Adored it. I adore a lot of the announcements that they did at Disney Investor Day. I'm not sold on all of them. I'm probably not even sold on the majority of them, and I'm also not sold on the amount of them in such short time. These are not things that are going to be coming out within the next 30 years. These are things that are probably going to be coming out within the next 3 to 5 years at the absolute maximum, okay? So there are plenty of room for failure here. We now also have the Book of Boba Fett, which is confirmed to be its own thing, which is good. Solves a lot of the issues with the questions I had with the ending of The Mandalorian. There are actually still more, and I will be talking about that in a video tomorrow. We'll be talking about some kind of unanswered questions. But now we have the rumor that there is a Luke Skywalker show in development. So let's go over what they're basically saying. And again, this comes from Fandom Wire. So while most fans weren't happy with the sequel trilogy, Luke Skywalker especially, that's for sure, Disney Plus's Star Wars content has been received well. With loads of new shows coming to the service, Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy promises that there is a story for everyone in a galaxy far, far away. The Force is female, right? Warning, spoilers ahead for Mandalorian Season 2. Fandom Wire can exclusively reveal that Lucasfilm and Disney Plus are in early stages of developing a Luke Skywalker series set around the time of The Mandalorian. Having been kept a secret in The Mandalorian's second season, or season finale, Mark Hamill surprised fans with a de-aged look of the character. No word on who is set to direct or produce, but as we said, this project is in early development. For all these reports, it's important to stress that and this is where I love this part. For all these reports, it's important to stress that in development means teams connected to Lucasfilm are prepping and writing the following projects. It does not guarantee they'll make it to air. I love that kind of like watching their back where they say, well, it's being made, but just so you know, the phrase being made doesn't mean being made. I love it when they do that. There are talks being held on if Mark Hamill should return with a de-aging technology, but right now the studio is leaning towards a recast due to the expense and current imperfections of the technology. Falcon and Winter Soldier star Sebastian Stan is one of the names being considered for the role of the iconic Jedi. The casting would be sure to make fans very happy, though it may be a recast. We're told Mark Hamill is more than willing to let Sebastian Stan play his character. We'll see what happens as things develop. All right, so I do want to say this. As always, you take these things with a grain of salt. Fandom Wire, I don't know much about them. I've definitely seen their stuff. I don't know if they're the most well-known for like leaks and rumors, but connected to that, they're kind of just re-saying what other people around the internet are saying. This isn't. They say it's an exclusive. I think I would say that they're lying. That's that part. I do just think they're kind of just combining everything we've heard. Look. Does it make sense? Yes, of course it makes sense. Of course, you have, again, these are spoilers, you have Luke Skywalker appearing at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2. You have the connection with Grogu. You could bring in Ahsoka there. There's so much stuff. I mean, we're at the age where, I don't know, like, Mandalorian, where Mandalorian is, I mean, you're entering the age of, like, a young Kylo Ren. You really are. So you're entering some dangerous territory when you're connecting it even to, like, the sequel films. So does it make sense to do it? Of course. I mean, you see Luke, look, Luke was done so dirty in the sequels, and I blame Rian Johnson primarily for that. In fact, it's only Rian Johnson's fault. It's not his fault for the entire sequels because it's actually, I would even argue, more JJ's fault. But Rian Johnson killed Luke, not just actually in the movie, but he also killed his character. So, what we saw in The Mandalorian, I think what makes it so special, and what you're seeing kind of the narrative running on the internet is, well, some people are saying like too late, basically like they did this too late, because we see Luke just so freaking powerful. I mean, when was the last time we've seen a character do what Luke Skywalker did in The Mandalorian? It's a TV show, and he did some incredible, we haven't seen, like, the Darth Vader scene in Rogue One was, I would say, like a very, very iconic, that's going to live forever, even though, I mean, it was so far removed, obviously, even from, like, the prequels and the original trilogy, but you have Darth Vader just being the absolute, like, best you could probably show. Maybe they did it also like him fighting Ahsoka in Rebels is pretty darn cool as well, and they've done it a couple other times, but you have that. And then you have this with Luke, where it's like he was he was a pretty awesome character in, like, Return of the Jedi, right? I love his character in Return of the Jedi, but we've never seen him so powerful as he was right here, okay? So I'm not arguing, like, this wouldn't be a bad thing to, I guess, explore, but the thing is, Is there too much going on? Is there too much? And again, going to their rumor, again, I think they kind of just put everything together, because Sebastian Stan, that was like a fan casting thing, which I'm not discrediting, because as we know, the fan casts for any of these kind of movies or TV shows, half the time they tend to actually be correct. Like, we actually end up nailing it. So, I wouldn't even be all that mad. Now, have they proven that they want Mark Hamill? You know what I mean? That's the interesting thing for me is, at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2, yes, it's like, you could find the guy online too. It's like it's a body double, but the face, obviously Mark Hamill's face was basically put in there. So for that scene, they felt very, I don't know, they felt like it was the right thing to do to make it Mark Hamill. If they did a whole separate show, I would argue, and people have argued this before, why not do animated? If you did animated, you could have Grogu, you could have young Ben Solo, you could have Luke, and you could have him voiced by Mark Hamill. If you do, now again, like the way they describe it, yes, this would also be, I guess, the next best case scenarios. If you do a Luke Skywalker show, you have you have to recast it. But I don't know. I mean, you can look at the ending of Season 2 of Mandalorian and say, well, is this them like making it very clear that, like, no, only Mark Hamill is, like this face, like we're not going to actually recast him, we'll just de-age, we'll figure out a way to do it, and this will always kind of be the face? Or was it just like, well, we're only going to show his face for like 1.5, 2 minutes, right? It's not going to be all that long. He's not going to talk too much. So like, we could probably pull it off, but to make an entire 10-episode show is going to be next to impossible, because the money it's going to cost is insane. You got to look at it and say, well, which one was it? That's a question everybody kind of has to ask themselves. And then the question of, and I haven't really talked about it, I mentioned like on Twitter about my love for like the Ahsoka show and some of the other stuff they announced, like Hayden Christensen returning in Kenobi. I mean, I do like a lot of the announcements that they've talked about. Maybe we can like rank them in like future videos, but the thing is, there is a lot of them. And I'm not saying the Luke show would be bad. I'm not saying the Book of Boba Fett is going to be bad, but you have so many shows, and you keep adding, and you keep adding, and I think eventually you are going to make some mistakes. Let's not forget who's running the show here. Sadly, it's Kathleen Kennedy. Now, obviously, she puts other people in charge of these properties, but maybe it's because the sequel films have just ruined my trust. The biggest thing I have with the Luke show here is just, it's another show. And, like, do you need the other 500 when you're going to if you have a Luke Skywalker show, and you have Mandalorian, which has done really well, and you have Ahsoka, and you have Kenobi, do you need things like the Book of Boba Fett? Now, I love Boba Fett. I love him in The Mandalorian. He would have been great in The Mandalorian, but give him his own show. See what I mean? Like, it kind of snowballs there. So I know this isn't a talk on the Book of Boba Fett or any of the other stuff. This is about the Luke Skywalker stuff. Is it a good idea? I would say on its own, it makes a lot of sense. It would actually kind of be stupid to not, because you could, I mean, think of the stories you could tell there. We've never seen it. We heard so much about it, and it was so exciting to kind of, I guess, go into Episode 8 and see what they were going to do, because they could have done flashbacks, and I mean, they kind of did, but, they could do flashbacks, and we could see, like, this rise of this new age of Jedi that Luke was training, all this stuff, or we could find out what the heck happened there, and we kind of did. I mean, some of these questions were half answered or half good, or whatever, but we didn't get the full thing. I think getting a Luke Skywalker in his prime, in what we got in The Mandalorian, again, like, seeing somebody that's not Mark Hamill, especially after the work they put in to make it Mark Hamill even in Mandalorian, would kind of be weird. I don't know. I think that obviously they are going more live action. However, they're doing The Bad Batch, and The Bad Batch is like the next thing that they're doing, right? That's the next upcoming show. So it's not impossible they could do animated stuff. We'll have to see. I like the idea of Mark Hamill like voicing it. I think that makes sense, and you can do that if you do animated. But if you do live action, yeah, I mean, there's just no way. I mean, realistically, if you do live action, it's you're gonna get a new character, because there's no way you're gonna get a new actor to play him, because there's no way you're going to bring Mark Hamill in and de-age him every single time, and you're gonna need a stunt double to do all the action sequences, and so you're paying for Mark Hamill, then you're paying to de-age him, then you're paying somebody to do all this stuff. I mean, you could maybe even cut some corners, save some money there, right? If you just have somebody all in one, even like a Sebastian Stan. So let me know, guys, in the comments below, what do you think? Do you think this is a good idea? idea? Do you think maybe this is a good idea, but having all of the Star Wars shows isn't? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. If you haven't already, follow me on Twitter. PodcastNow15 is my Twitter handle. The link for it's in the description below, or of course, you could just look me up on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for watching. Tomorrow, I will have a Mandalorian video. I want to kind of talk about the ending and talk about what's coming in Season 3, so that video is tomorrow, and I hope to see you guys there.